At the end of last year, I made a video, The Honest Truth, about what was changing in my homeschool. I thought that this year would look very, very different. And I was right, but not about how it would look different. Turns out God had different plans, as he often does, different than the plans that we have for ourselves. And those plans really surprised me, as they tend to do. So in this video, I'm going to share what's different, what changed for the worse, what changed for the better, what I expected to happen, and then what actually happened. So if you watched that video, the Honest Truth video, I talked about the things I wanted to be doing that were different. I wanted to incorporate more music, more language, more read aloud time. I don't think I even voiced that, but that was definitely a thing that I was thinking internally. Field trips, adventure things that we could go out of the house and do that were homeschool adjacent, but not necessarily my day-to-day homeschool routine. I had actually at that time thought I was going to be cutting back my hours at work to way less. At the time I was working about 20 hours a week. I thought I was going to be cutting it back to like 5 to 0 hours a week. I can't remember if I'd already turned in my notice at that time. I think that I had, because of how I was talking. I think I'd already given my 2-week notice. So at that time, I still had one contract that was 15 hours a month. So very, very little weekly work that I was going to have to do. And that's just what I thought my work week was going to look like. I thought I'd be doing less. I really just wanted to prioritize homeschooling, my property, just enjoying life with my children. And if you have older kids, you know, like half your week is just running them places. At the time, I didn't have a driver yet. My oldest son now got his license. So at the time, I was driving 4 children, 4 different places, seemingly 10 times a day, even though it was really more like maybe 5 times a week, but still it was a lot. And so that's what I was looking for, right? Like pulling back a little bit, doing more of the homeschooling and like just homemaking type things. But what ended up happening is I actually ended up doubling my hours, more than doubling them. I ended up taking a full-time job, which is 40 hours a week. Plot twist, it's somehow just as manageable, if not more so, with my new job, my new schedule, than it was when I was working 15 to 20 hours a week. So I got this new job. Basically, I wasn't even gonna apply to it. I read the description. I was like, I remember very clearly on the road with my husband and just being like, this sounds like me. Like this job description is basically the description of me. You know, do you think I should apply or not? He was like, why not? It's not gonna hurt to apply. If you hear the KitchenAid going, my daughter's making cookies. So anyway, I decided to apply to this job and things moved pretty quickly and smoothly, and I really had this sense that I had the job. Every door I came to was opened. Again, I had in the back of my mind that I was going to quit working altogether, and so I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into. But the short version is that the hours were perfect. I actually picked the hours that I wanted to work, and I picked them to make it so that I could homeschool in the mornings and work in the evenings. And even as I thought about it, reflected back on it later this year, I realized that I had been praying specifically for money that I could make in the evenings when we're home doing nothing. If you live in a colder state, you know, like it gets dark at 4:30 p.m. and there's nothing you can really do except for if the weather's not terrible, you could drive somewhere. But there was many, many nights where we just couldn't go anywhere. We've been snowed in. It's like freezing cold out and it's pitch black, and maybe the kids just want to watch movies, things like that. And I just wished I could make money instead of like watching TV. I also, when it came to this job, I did a few things. I gave myself permission to quit at the 6-month mark if it wasn't working. I said, if this is just too much, if I can't take care of my kids, myself, I can't homeschool, like we're going to be done with it, and I'll give it 6 months and see where I'm at. I prayed that God would really make it very clear to me if I should take the job or not. We've been in this school year for 2 months with me working the job that I'm working. Some of the wins that we're having, very consistent with our school because your girl does not have all day. So I'm like, we get up, we get our math done, we get our language arts done, we get our spelling done, we read history for 1 to 3 hours. Yes, I do read them out loud. History books / general fiction, classics, what have you, depending on the day, anywhere from 1 to 3 hours every single day. So we've been like very consistent with those things. We did include language and music. We were able to do that. We haven't been able to find anything outside the home for language, but actually I don't feel like that has anything to do with me working or not working. It's just not here. The language that my kids want to learn is not taught in our state. I don't know. I'm like, where are all of these people? Like, whatever, it's okay. We're using Duolingo, but honestly, that's going great as well. So I'm not even gonna complain. The kids do it like 5 days a week. It's a win-win. To be totally, completely honest, every day is not smooth. Every day does not go exactly like planned. I'm not saying that everything is perfect. There's days that I wish I didn't have to work. There's days that are really stressful because I feel rushed. There's days that we don't get it all done. I have a hard cutoff. I start work at 2. So if we didn't get done at 2 o'clock and it's something that they need my help with, like, it's just not gonna get done. And that's okay. Because generally speaking, everything important is done before like 12 or 1. We do it in the mornings. I homeschool like starting at 8 o'clock. So we homeschool hardcore until like 1-ish. And so we usually start with the subjects that they have to be more engaged with, like writing and math. And then we move on to the things that mommy's helping with, which is reading and history and literature type things. But anyway, I recently watched a video talking about like, don't romanticize homeschool. And I hear what she was saying. Like, I think she had a really great point in that don't pretend it's all sunshine and roses and rainbows and nobody is angry and nobody has bad attitudes and we always get our school done and then have hours to play. Like, obviously that's not true. Like, I'm not trying to say that that's the reality. I'm trying to say that as a whole, we're consistent, we're happy with our progress, and I feel very satisfied with how much school we get done every day, how much playtime we get every day. I don't really think that I should need to homeschool them like one-on-one for 7 hours. So having a hard cutoff at 2 isn't horrible to me just because that's already like 6 hours of school. And in that time, like, we have other things too. Like, we can go outside, we can read outside, we can walk around, we can, do other stuff. And if we get stuff done early, we have some extra time in between, which, full transparency, we basically never get done early. But that's partly because I'm a little bit of a stickler about getting our school done. We just don't usually end really early. I don't know. I hear moms talk about like, we get our school done in 2 hours a day and then we have, 10 hours to play. And I'm like, well, that's great. That's not how it is for me, and that's okay. Some things that are harder right now, in truth, we haven't done a single field trip in the last 2 months. During the summer, we went to the park or we went fishing probably like 2-3 days a week. And we went rock climbing a lot. Like, we were doing other things. Since school started, I don't have a lot of time between homeschooling and work to fit in a field trip. Now, my hours are shifted. So I now get Fridays and Saturdays off, and I have intention that I'll be able to do field trips on Fridays. That's my goal. Am I positive that's gonna happen? No. Am I holding myself accountable to doing that? No. I'm just like, if I can, I would like to do that, but I'm not gonna give myself a hard time if it doesn't happen because I feel like I'm doing a lot right now. I'm trying to also be proud of myself for what I am doing. Hopefully we'll do more field trips. We'll keep you updated if that actually happens. Looking back to a year ago, I was really excited because there were things I wanted to prioritize, and to be so for real, I did prioritize those even when I switched jobs. I think there's a few reasons for that. As I reflected last year, I realized some things that were missing. I wasn't doing as much fun read alouds. I love reading to my children. So sometimes during my break I read, and I read almost every day I have off. I read to them for a couple hours. And so between those two things, we're still making some big progress on some books that we're reading for fun. Also, we're listening to audiobooks in the car. We just finished, or on the last final pages of the audiobook Journey to the Center of the Earth. Loved that with my 12-year-old. And then we're listening to Mossflower by Brian Jacks, or how do you say his last name, but the Redwall series, where I'm reading one of those books and I'm listening to the other one. We're like a third of the way through both. It's taken us a little bit longer than I would like, but we're still actually making really big progress because I love reading to my children. And what I was trying to say is that I realized that that was something that was making me feel like I wasn't doing enough. I felt sad because those were things that were really important to me. The other thing is that when I was working 15, 20 hours a week, I was a contractor. And if you've ever been a contractor, and it could just be me actually, I don't know, but I just know other contractors who do this, but like, you never feel like you're off work because you could always work. There's always work you could do. You could always go sit down and work. And working as an employee where I have set hours, it's like my brain has permission to not think about work on the days I'm not working and the hours I'm not working. So like when I have to turn it on, I just put on my sound canceling headphones and I sit there and I focus and I do my work. But when I'm not working, boy howdy, I'm not thinking about work. I'm not checking my messaging platform. I'm not checking Facebook messages. I'm just being present and being the mom. And that has been incredible for me. That has helped me so much. I feel like I'm working the same amount as I was when I worked half the amount as a contractor that I work now as a full-time employee. And I think that that was partly like a me problem. So I'm not saying that's everyone. I think that I felt like I always had to check a message because if it came in during business hours and I was a contractor, like I technically could, maybe I should respond. I don't even know what the correct thing is there, but that was just like very, very hard. The other thing is that some of the things that I had to do as a contractor were during the morning when I would have preferred to be homeschooling. And when I got to change my hours so that I only worked from 2 to 10, that made it so much easier. Like every morning we do school. I never work in the mornings. And that also has helped me incredibly because I don't have to worry about it. Like mornings are for the kids. Mornings we homeschool, we talk, I make them breakfast, we do all the things. In short, things changed. There are some things that are still hard, just mostly the fact that I work so many hours that like I sometimes feel very, very tired. So that is a thing that I'm struggling with a little bit. But in general, I don't feel like I'm working more or harder than I was as a contractor, which is wild to me. Oh, before I forget though, I will say there was one more thing that I am planning to incorporate in January, and that is debate team, because like a lot of people, the Charlie Kirk situation did really inspire me. Like it inspired thousands, millions of people around the world. And I did decide to put my kids into a debate team because I felt like it would help them with a couple things. So I want them to be better at articulating their opinion. I haven't always been the most articulate human being in the world, and debate could be really good for them for that reason. And one of my children tends to speak really quietly, and I want to help him to be a little bit more clear with his words. And there was a couple other reasons, but whatever the case, that's about the only change I plan to make. I'm like so glad I'm not changing anything. We're sticking with Sunlight. We're sticking with all of our curriculum. We have found a rhythm that works for us. But debate team is the only thing that I might be incorporated next year that you might see a video about, like we started debate team, which I would love. So I'd be really excited if that was my January update for you guys. These first 2 months of school have really pleasantly surprised me. I feel like it's going very well. I feel so grateful, so at peace, at least in the rhythm that we have. Even on the days that I'm exhausted or tired, I still feel at peace about like the projection of where homeschool and work-life balance is going. I hope this video is helpful for you guys, and I'm excited to see you again really soon.